Welcome, beautiful souls, to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. Today, I have with me the beautiful Louise Siwicki. Louise is a global award winning holistic fertility specialist, hypnotherapist, and miracle mindset coach. She is head of development Australia for the European Fertility Society and an advocate for fertility in the workplace. It was through Louise's own heartbreaking 6-year battle to conceive that she found her true passion and purpose, now coaching women on a similar journey. Thanks so much for joining us, Louise.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I know, me too. Do you want to share a little bit more about the path that has got you to where you are today?
Absolutely. I guess for me, it was a 6-year journey, like you said, to conceive. And I had no idea in the beginning. We traveled overseas, we came home. I was just 30, I think, at the time. And we thought well, now's the time to start having kids. I had a long-term partner. I just had no idea the struggle that was about to unfold. Um, 6 years, we did it all, and I had unexplained infertility, so I did not fall pregnant once during that time. And I think it was about 5.5 years into my journey, I went into the fertility specialist appointment, and she delivered yet another failed pregnancy test result. And she said to me, "Lou, I can't see you for 6 months. You've got to go away and sort out your mental and your physical health. This is never going to work." And although that was at the time the worst thing that anyone could have said to me, in hindsight, that was a pivotal turning moment in my life. I went home, I got my dogs, I went to the dog park, and it was dark, and I looked up to the universe and I said, "Universe, I need help. There's something going on here. I need help." I've been diagnosed with chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, celiac disease, and depression, and I was in that dark space. So I went to work the next day, and a colleague of mine said to me, "Have you tried a holistic way of looking at fertility?" I'd done all the physical side of things, but I hadn't really considered my mental health or really looking more into the psychological side of things. And I hadn't really thought about it. But I started to do some investigating, and it was from that moment on that I took 6 months out, and I said to my partner at the time, who was now my husband, Brendan, I said, "I don't want to talk about fertility for 6 months. I need to concentrate on healing my mental and my emotional and my physical health," and which I did. And during that time, I decided that we needed to get married. We'd been together for 15 years, so instead of concentrating on my fertility, I decided that I was gonna plan a wedding, which I did, and we got married on the 15th of December 2017, and in the January, I think it was the 4th of January, I walked back into the fertility specialist's office 6 months to the day after I'd left, and she took a round of blood work, and obviously a blood test being a pregnancy test as part of the blood work. And the next day, she rang me and she said, "Are you sitting down?" I was on the train on the way home from work, and I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You're pregnant, Lou." And I just couldn't believe it. And 9 months to the day after we got married, I gave birth to our first son. And I know obviously everyone's journey is different and everyone's story is different. But for me, that really solidified the mind body connection and the influence that the mind plays over our fertility journey. Everything starts with a thought in the beginning. Our thoughts become our feelings, and over time, our feelings they become they become part of who we are. They become our reality. So I promised in that moment that I would, when I'd finished having kids, that I would set up a support network for women on a similar journey, which I did. And fast forward 5 years, I have 3 beautiful children and an amazing business where I get to support women through a psychological lens who are struggling to realize their dreams of becoming mothers.
That's all so amazing. And I'm like reading over your thing, and I'm like, you're a global award-winning holistic fertility specialist. So in that time as well, I'm like, oh my God, seriously, you've gone through all of this for yourself. And then in like, what do you say, 5 years? Like you've created this incredible, acknowledged business support system. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that I love how the specialist told you to take 6 months out because there is so much power in looking at your physical, your internal health, as well as like your mental and emotional health. I was never told that specifically, but what my doctor said to me after my loss was, if you had to come and see me before you were trying to conceive, I would have told you no. She goes, there was a lot of internal stuff that wasn't quite right. The like nutrients, like vitamins, minerals, and everything was out of balance. And she introduced me to the methylation system, which when I understood that, I was like, okay, I need to physically, on paper, I looked like I was okay. I could tick boxes and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. But I was trying to conceive for 5 years as well. I'm like, why am I not falling pregnant? And that was such a huge, huge awareness that a lot of people don't know about. And I think it was about 5 months after really focusing on my mental, emotional, physical health that I fell pregnant with my rainbow. But it is that pivotal moment. It's that deciding moment, that moment you make a choice and say, no, I can't keep going the way that I am. Something's not working. I need to change it. And actually change it, actually do the steps. So I love that then this is now your how you support people in the world, because it is such an important awareness for women's fertility journeys.
I think exactly what you said is right. It's about making the decision that I can and I will make a difference in my and seeing this journey not as not for well, I mean, for many, many years I fell into the victim mentality and that wasn't getting me anywhere with my fertility journey. It was just digging me a deeper and deeper, darker hole. And the mindset switch really was, I'm going to empower myself and see this not as a struggle, but as an opportunity for learning, for healing, and for growth, and an opportunity to become the best version I can be for my future child. And as soon as I made that mindset switch, everything changed.
Mm.
Everything changed. And it's so hard to see it when you're in it. And tell every single one of my clients this. This is an exciting opportunity for you to see the possibilities, the opportunity for healing and growth and learning, so you can become the best version of yourself you can be for your future child. Like, it's the most beautiful gift you can give your future child. But like I said, it's really hard to see it when you're in it. But that's where once you've got someone who can support you to see the change, to be able to empower you to, with the right tools, the right strategies, the right techniques it's almost like pulling yourself out of the hole, isn't it? And being able to start to move forward, to change your story regarding your fertility journey. And it's such a, like you said, I was very lucky that somebody said to me, literally, she said, I cannot see you for 6 months. And if she hadn't have said that, then who knows what I would have, where I would have been, or how things would have ended up. So I think it's so important to start the discussion. Let's look at our fertility holistically: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Mm.
It takes a whole holistic approach to really to have you moving forward on your fertility journey. And for me, I think it's just when a woman or a man, or when you first start to when you decide that you want to start to try for a baby, you go to the GP. They do a round of blood tests. They kind of, you tick all the boxes. You've It looks okay. Okay, let's start moving forward. But we don't kind of dig any deeper. We don't kind of do a mental health check-in or a spiritual check-in, or like you said, medically on paper you might look right, but is there something a little bit out of balance potentially underneath in terms of the physical level that could have an impact later on? So I think it's really, really important, if we can get the awareness out there, to, when you start trying to save yourself years of heartache, do a mental health check-in, do a really deep dive into your physical health, spiritual health as well. Like, where are you at? What's happened in your past that could potentially prevent you from moving forward? Have a look, and don't be scared. A lot of people are scared of kind of going down that route, because they're scared of what they might find, or it's like it's opening a Pandora's box. We'd rather not know. But the thing with this, I guess, in inverted commas, our stuff, it follows us, and we push it down, and it follows us, and until one day we're forced to really, really heal, and to really work through and process this stuff. So it's better that we do it early on, so we're free to move forward.
Yeah, I like that you say that it's better to do that early on, because like you said, and 100% agree, it follows you. So the more that you push all of that stuff inside, the more it becomes like this volcano waiting to erupt. And there does come a time where you do have to look at it. And you know, in a situation like yours where you had unexplained fertility, that's a really good opportunity for you to go, okay, something's not right here, and I do need to look at myself. Or, for me, it was, I didn't necessarily see it in my 5 years of trying to conceive. I saw it when we had our first pregnancy and our first loss. And I was like, okay, in that moment, I was like, obviously, once I had felt like I was punished, I felt like all of that stuff, going on. But when all of that lifted, I was like, what can I do for myself? And like you said prior, really doing it for you first, making that decision for you first. How can I be in that best possible physical, emotional, spiritual state for myself first, so that then I can bring in and call in, a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. You're not ever doing it for the end, like for that end goal. You're doing it purely for yourself first. And that was the mindset shift that I also had to make was, I wanted a baby. I wanted a baby so bad, but I wasn't going to do like shortcuts along the way trying to figure out how I could get that, because that's kind of what I did actually the first time, and it ended in loss. Because the doctors never actually looked at my internal body. And that's where I believe the shortcuts were kind of taken, because they were like, okay, we'll try and get you pregnant faster. We'll give you this medication, without actually looking at how my body was, working on a day-to-day basis at that time anyway. And like, I'm not doing that to myself again. I'm making a decision in this moment to really do it properly. Change my, change my diet. I changed my exercise. I got out and did walking. I shifted my mindset. I fed my brain and my body and my my soul with stuff that was actually nourishing it. And that when you make those decisions, like that is a huge, it could just create, it is bound to make a huge change in your life, regardless of what happens after that. Your life changes anyway. You see things differently. Different things come into your path.
100%. I think, we joy and happiness and love and trust for ourselves, they all get lost under the weight of infertility, don't they? And they will sometimes under the weight of life. And a happy heart is a magnet for miracles. And the soul of our future baby is really drawn to happiness and a happy heart and us being able to lean into joy. So you're 100% right. It's really it's about us. It's about learning to lean into, like, how can we rediscover what used to make us happy? What truly sets our heart on fire, our soul on fire, like nourishing our inner truth, stepping into our authentic self again and standing up and saying, this is what I want. This is what is going to make me happy. And it's from this place that you really start to move forward and you can move forward. And it's from this place that life starts to flow again, because you've you've leaned back into joy and to love and to trusting and having faith in yourself, in your body's ability to fall pregnant, stay pregnant, deliver a healthy baby, and trust that life is working for you, not against you. It's all of these values that just get lost, like I said, under the weight of infertility. It's really important to find these again and learn to lean into these again. And once you do that, that's when the miracles start to happen, isn't it? And that's when dreams come true. And that's when you, at the end of the day, when you strip it all back, that's when you find your happy heart, find you again. And that's really the most exciting bit.
It just gave me goosebumps. I love the idea of the happy heart.
It's true, isn't it, though? Like, once we find our, it, there's no other way to put it. Once we find our happy hearts, that's when life starts to flow in our favor. And that's when we realize that if we just lean into trust and trusting the process and trusting our journey and not comparing ourselves to anyone else and trying to learn from what we've been given in life and understand what healing needs to happen and what growth needs to happen for us to move forward, that's when that's when you can move forward. And that's when you get the victim mentality dissolves. That's when you get rid of the anger. That's when you get rid of the frustration. That's when you get rid of the stress and the anxiety and all of these big emotions that are really keeping us stuck. And learning to move through I have so many. I have not experienced pregnancy loss, but I have worked with a lot of women and currently working with a few clients that have. And number one, it's about learning to process the grief and sadness and allow your body to feel so you're able to heal and move forward. Because if you haven't processed these emotions, truly process them, then you cannot you can't find your happy heart again. So it's really important to process these emotions as well and understand that it's not just about, if you do experience pregnancy loss, well, I just need to get over it and move on, just push it to one side. I'm just going to keep trying for another baby. I'm just going to, it's too hard basket, push it down, push it down, push it down. And for a little while that does work, and your unconscious mind pushes those feelings to one side and you think you are moving on, but then something will trigger you and then you fall back into that hole again. And grief and sadness, they have a way of following us until we are forced to deal with them and forced to really process it and to heal. Because if you don't heal, then you can never move forward and truly move forward, and you naturally find your happy path.
Yeah, you can't bypass emotions, can you? You can't just say, "Oh, I'm not going to address that one. I don't like that one." Um, you do then nothing that comes with loss or even infertility is comfortable. Like not one emotion that comes or physical experience or thought is comfortable. So how can you give yourself then permission and compassion to go, okay, I need to feel these. I need to move through these because this is what my body is telling me I need to do. And like you said, if you keep pushing them down, there's going to be moments in your life that will trigger them and activate them. And what happens when those emotions are activated because you haven't processed them is it thrusts you back into them and you experience almost the intensity of those emotions as if it was happening to you all over again. So the the idea of being able to process your emotions and move through them is to lessen the intensity. Yes, you're still going to get emotions that come up, but when you're triggered, you're not going to be so knocked off your feet that then you can't function again. Like but you'll also have tools in your tool belt to start to process them and go, okay, it's taken me 5 minutes or 10 minutes or a day to actually process this emotion as opposed to weeks or months where you feel that emotion is really heavy again still.
100%. I mean, we are human, so nobody is not ever going to feel emotion. And what has happened to you in your past becomes part of who you are. Like that's a fact. But like you said, it is about learning to and building your toolkit to be able to sit with that emotion. It only neuroscience tells us takes 90 seconds to process an emotion. So if we can spend 90 seconds giving ourselves permission to really feel that feeling, process that emotion, and then moving through that with our toolkit, then you don't sit in the emotion, do you? You don't stay there. And I mean, and that's where the healing happens. That's where the growth. That's where your ability to move forward happens because you don't allow yourself to sit in the and get overwhelmed with the emotion. You allow yourself to move forward. You empower yourself to move forward, and that's really exciting. And that's, I guess, that's where you want to go, and that's why this is so exciting. Because when you think about it, if it's 12 months from now, it take. Do you really want to be in the same position, or do you want to be moving forward? And the amount of energy that it takes for you to stay in stuck, that stuck in those negative emotions is the same amount, actually the same amount of energy that it takes to make the decision to move forward, move through, process, and choose a better way. So when we get to choose, and that's the really empowering bit. And it's which which path will you choose today? The one that's going to allow you to move forward or the one that keeps you stuck?
Mm. I love it because I teach that so much too. Is like, it is a choice. In any given moment, you have a choice. And like you said, if you're staring down, the two different pathways, which one do you choose? Do you choose to support yourself, empower yourself, and start to move through the emotions and feel lighter and happier and connected to a new version of you? Or do you choose the other path where you stay in that darkness, that heaviness, the heartache, the pain, the really big uncomfortable emotions? Because more often than not, yeah, they'll just keep coming back anyway. Like, so, you know, at any given moment you have a choice. So I love that. Which path do you choose? And in that moment, you can make it right now. Like in this moment, make that choice.
100%. And it's about I can and I will change my story. I today choose to empower myself to take control of my life. This is my life. Yeah, I mean, everyone struggles. Like, that's the thing. Like, that life can sometimes be a big, big, not so wonderful struggle. Like, it can sometimes be really, really not very nice. But by getting stuck in that not very nice stuff, it means you just end up so unhappy. And you can make a decision to be able to move through that, learn from it, learn from your struggles, heal from these struggles, and create a better life, create a new life, a new story for yourself. And, you know, and that is a big mindset shift. And if you can make that shift today, you will change the trajectory of your whole entire life. I guarantee it. You just have to make that decision. I can and I will change my story today. I will choose a different path. I mean, it's not going to be necessarily easy. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road. You'll go 5 steps forward and 7 steps back, and then that's just the way it is. But knowing that it's probably going to get a bit messy in the beginning, but long term, you are going to be so much better off for it.
Mm. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of that.
Everything.
Because when we start to push those emotions in as well, it presents physically. So we end up with physical pain. And then it's not just an emotion like floating around in your brain in nothingness. It's actually then turns into a physical representation of that. So then you end up in physical pain as well as mental, emotional pain. And I love that you support women in cultivating a fertility mindset, which I think maybe along the lines of what you just said. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
I guess, I mean, it's pretty much what we've really talked about, isn't it?
Mm.
It's about empowering yourself to make the decision today. I can and I will change my fertility story. Like, what story are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself your body is broken, you'll never become a mum, you were too old, that ship is sailed, I failed myself, I failed my partner, I failed my family, I failed. The language that we're using, we're talking first. I mean, if you wouldn't say that to your closest friend, your mother, your father, your loved ones, your partner, don't say it to yourself. And at the end of the day, I mean, cultivating a fertility mindset comes down, strip it all back. What's the language that you're using to talk to yourself about your fertility journey? And it's about reframing that and changing the way that you're speaking about yourself. And like I said, if you wouldn't say it to a close family, friend, loved one, don't say it to yourself, because like we said, everything starts off as a very small thought in the brain. And over time, if we're continually telling ourselves, my body is broken, my body is broken, I'm never going to fall pregnant, I'm too old, too old, I'm too old, that becomes part of who we are, that becomes part of our gut, that becomes part of our nervous system. And our brain has no other option but to believe us. So it's saying, okay, well, maybe she is too old then. And of course, it's going to be really difficult to move forward because you've just incantated into your brain over time that you're too old. So it's today making the decision to reframe how you were talking to yourself about your ability to fall pregnant, stay pregnant, deliver a healthy baby, your fertility journey. Start to give yourself permission. Be kind. Start looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself how easily and effortlessly you will fall pregnant when the time is right, how healthy your body is. You will fall pregnant when the time is right. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. Like, start to really lean into self love as well. Look at yourself in the mirror, eyeball yourself, and say, I truly love you. Because a lot of us can't do that. Most women can't do that. And that's something that's really important. I mean, you have to love yourself first. That's such an important part of the journey as well. So I think language, becoming really consciously aware of the language you're using, starting to today making the decision that you're not going to talk to yourself like that anymore.
So much just came up for me then. When there was a statement that I remember reading, and it said, be careful how you talk to yourself because you're always listening.
Yeah.
So you're the one person that is listening to you all of the time, every single second, millisecond of every single day. So what is the story, the narrative that you're entertaining, even if it is just a thought or you're physically verbalizing it out? What is it that you're saying? If someone asks you even about your journey, what is it that you are physically saying to someone else as well? Oh, I, haven't had any good luck in falling pregnant. Like it's not my time. And, you know, it's my body's not doing what it's meant to. And if you're saying that all of the time, even to other people, if they're asking how it's going, that is also your body's what you're always listening. Your body's always listening. Your brain's always listening. And when you said it actually physically changes you, it does. Like if you tell yourself enough, I'm not worthy, I'm broken, it actually shifts your DNA. Like, so a lot of people, again, don't think that a thought or a spoken word is actually anything, or it's just a thought, or it's just a word, but it becomes a tangible thing, just as emotions do. Your thoughts become a tangible part of your body because you can literally shift the way the DNA is created if you say something over and over and over.
It's
And you're
100%. I mean, there's been many studies done about the different parts of the brain and how we process thoughts linking to different physical disease, illness, aches and pains. Like everything starts as a thought. There can be one event and there's two people witnessing that event. They perceive it in two separate ways. And in that moment, the way that they perceive that event would change their thought process. And over time, they can create their reality, can shift the way that their life turns out. Like it is that everything starts with a thought. And I think once we realize that, once we understand that, and even joking, like, oh, I'm never going to fall pregnant, like, oh, because you're trying to protect yourself, aren't you? For fear that it's easier to keep your expectations low than to lean into the excitement of the possibility of pregnancy, because that just the disappointment will be too much. But the thing is, when we keep our expectations low and we don't even entertain the thought anymore because for fear of experiencing more pain, then we're magnifying those feelings, aren't we? Those thoughts like, I'm never going to fall pregnant again. I'm too old. My body's failed me. I, the ship sailed. But that is keeping us stuck. Those thoughts are keeping us stuck in a holding pattern, unable to move forward. And that's something that's really important to understand.
mm, yeah. So yeah, it's like just really watching what you're saying to yourself on a daily basis. What are the thoughts that are running through your head, or that's on a loop? And what you're physically saying out loud, whether it's to yourself or to other people. Like, what story are you still entertaining? And how can you shift it so that, like you said, reframe it, shift it around so that you are talking in a more positive way to yourself. And I love also how you said before about saying, I love you in the mirror. That was actually one thing that I had to do, or I did for myself. I don't know if I was told to do it after my loss, but um, it was like, it was when I first started, it was so awkward. I was like, oh my gosh, like, how come I can't do this? Like, this is so weird. But I think it's also busting through those, oh, she's up herself type thoughts then that go through her head, like through your head, because that's what came up for me. It was like, I can't love myself. People are going to think I'm up myself. But I'm like, no one else is listening. I'm the only one in the bathroom telling me I love me. And so what if I love me? Like, I should be the first person to love me. I can't put that on other people and not love myself first. So, because I had done that, years like prior. I was looking for external validation of everyone else, and I couldn't give it to myself. I couldn't feel worthy. I couldn't feel like I loved myself. And that didn't work. So I'm like, why, and I think that was that turning moment for me too. I'm like, well, it didn't work for me in the past, like looking for people to tell me that they love me, to tell me that I was worthy, I looked good, like all of the things. I needed to do that for me. And yeah, that was really hard, saying I love me. Like you said, like locking eyes with yourself in the mirror and actually saying it like was hard, but now I can do it. I couldn't even receive a compliment, you know, a couple of years ago, or I would always downplay it, or I'd think of an excuse of why it shouldn't be as good as what it was. And that all came back to my relationship with me as a person. I couldn't love me. I couldn't receive anything from other people. And I think that's one small thing that you can do. It will feel uncomfortable, but it's such a powerful move.
It that in itself would change your life because, like, at the end of the we come into this world as little babies and we do love ourselves, but unfortunately, you look at little toddlers, especially girls running around, they look at themselves in the mirror, they smile when you say they look pretty, but life changes us, doesn't it? But we need to look to the younger kids, to how we should be and how we should truly love ourselves, because that is how we should accept ourselves and love ourselves. Because if we don't truly love ourselves, then nobody else is going to love us. Like, it's that simple. And we just conditioned to say, oh, like you said, oh, we're up, or we're up ourselves if we think we're good looking or we're beautiful. But the thing is, we were worthy of being put on this earth because God put us on this earth. So we are worthy of love, and we are more than worthy of loving ourselves. We should love ourselves. If we don't love ourselves, and that's a problem. There's a big problem there. So I'm here, and I'm sure you today, to give yourself permission to truly love yourself and who you are, and to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. So important.
Yeah, it is so important. And like you said, well, I think everything that we've been talking about all kind of leads into this, is like it all starts with you. Like everything that we do starts with us. And there's, like you said, you can't, yes, people on the outside of us are going to love us, but we need to be the person that loves us first so that we can receive love and all of the good things from other people.
Absolutely. And like you said, we shouldn't seek outside validation for approval, for compliments, for love, because if we truly love ourselves and we truly accept ourselves, then it doesn't
Mm.
matter what anyone else says. And that's it comes down to that. And I think if you strip it all back even more, like when you do fall pregnant, you are going to be able to give the gift to your child of love, that you truly love yourself. Like, you are giving them the greatest gift of all. If they can see that their mother or father, parents, truly love themselves, then that is honestly one of the greatest gifts that you could ever give your children. So being able to get to that point and fall pregnant and give that gift to your child is just the most beautiful thing in the world.
Yeah, because they're always watching anyway. So you may not physically have to say anything, but they're always watching. They know the energy of how you're vibrating as a person. They pick up on all of that. So you being able to love yourself and show yourself that self-love, and then pass that, be in that state, embodying that state, and then allowing your little person then to see that and witness that and feel that. Because then sometimes, yeah, like I said, you don't have to physically say anything to them, they'll feel it. And it's only going to set them up then for a beautiful life of them being able to love themselves and be confident in their body, and not seek that external validation and trying to please people all of the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's It's just something that is just so important, and just especially as women, it really gets pushed to one side, and it's something that we never give ourselves permission for, but it is at the core so important.
Yes, so, so important. It's so undervalued and underrated, but it is so important. Um, and I wanted to touch on how now you're sort of taking all of your beautiful knowledge and wealth of wisdom into supporting people in the workplace, because it is, especially going through infertility and loss, going back into work is a really difficult space to be in, especially when you don't have the support. You're expected to show up the same way as you did before. And I'm like, you physically can't. There's so much of your life and you as a person that's changed. So do you want to share a little bit about how this is all playing out for you?
I guess for me, I was this was 10 years ago, my journey, and fertility in the workplace wasn't a thing. So it was really difficult to experience the grief, the loss, the trauma, all the big emotions, and have to show up and present, receive the news of another negative pregnancy test result. 5 minutes later, show up and present to a client as if nothing had happened. It added to magnified all of those emotions. It just created this stress bubble, which was just adding to my fertility journey. And I vowed that I wanted to support people in the workplace. I wanted to show them that we now know with the right tools, strategies, techniques, all of these things, that it is completely possible to successfully navigate your career and your fertility journey at the same time. But it's about understanding how to do that. And it's about regaining confidence that has been lost, confidence within our body and our ability to fall pregnant, but that also has a flow on effect in our career. We lose confidence in our ability to perform in the workplace. We start to retreat, don't we? Communication becomes really difficult, from colleagues, managers, anyone in the workplace. We really start to almost become a recluse because everything just becomes overwhelming. Stress, the anxiety, all these kind of emotions, they're magnified. So having the right support, having the right policies, the right procedures, knowing that your workplace is a safe, inclusive space, it is just so important to allowing you to be able to successfully navigate your career and fertility journey at the same time. So that's, I guess, why I am so passionate about it, because personally it affected me, but professionally I know that you can make a big difference. So that's really why I am so passionate about supporting people in the workplace.
Mm. It is a really there's so many workplaces obviously that employ women, and infertility, fertility, pregnancy loss, um it is, the statistics are so high. So it only makes sense really that the organizations and the businesses that we work with can allow us that support and can offer understanding and support inside the workplace, especially because when you go back to work, a lot of women don't actually say what's happening, like because they feel like they can't tell anyone what's happening. But if you had a workplace that you felt safe, that was understanding and that had the tools to support you, like it would be so different. The
Oh,
actual healing and recovery journey would be so different.
100%. It just takes away from the fear of I guess, having to, um, or it adversely affecting your career. If you feel, like you said, if you're in a safe, supported environment, surrounded by people who understand. So it's obviously about, educating the workplace as well. Like, what does that person need in order to be able to move through and move forward successfully in their time of need, both from a practical point of view, but also from a psychological point of view. So having educating the workplace on through a psychological lens and really understanding what that person needs, then that fosters that environment, doesn't it, of
Mm.
feeling of inclusiveness and safety and employee well-being and employee happiness. It sometimes can be the difference. But I mean, we spend so much time at work. Some people spend 12, 13-hour days at work, don't we? We see our work colleagues and leaders and managers more than we do our family sometimes. So if you are in an environment where you feel supported and able to move through what you're going through in terms of your fertility journey, pregnancy, loss, the grief, the sadness, the trauma, it is the key difference between sometimes maybe even leaving your job over it, or being in a workplace where you feel you're able to successfully navigate both at the same time.
Mm. It's such a it's such a big thing that I believe is missing, and I'm so glad that you're stepping into that space and providing that because, it's you could I guess the employer can go, "Oh, I don't want emotional people at my place. I don't want them to think, I'm giving them special treatment." And I'm like, "But I've heard, like, and for myself, I didn't go back after my loss. Um, well, I mean, I did. I fell pregnant. I went back until the end of the pregnancy, and then I left because I felt like it wasn't a healthy environment for me. Um, but if the employers, sorry, want to actually hold on to their staff, if they've got staff that they really do, they perform well and they do their job well, like, why wouldn't you take that next step and actually add that extra bit of support for them so that they can keep showing up in a really powerful, empowered way, allowing them to heal and recover through their experience and continue to heal and recover through being able to go back to work and having that understanding that if they need a bit of time out, that's okay. Um, it's only going to allow them to perform probably even more. Because if you're going back in with emotional trauma, your work performance will be affected.
100%. And I think employees now are standing up and saying that they are wanting to choose employ workplaces that do foster inclusivity and foster employee wellness and foster an environment of safety and security and support. And the tides are slowly turning, I think. There are a lot of companies now saying, in order to hold on to those good employees, we need to essentially offer what they're asking, and they are asking for fertility benefits and for emotional well-being benefits. And at the end of the day, I mean, productivity and the bottom line are only going to benefit. So
Mm.
if over and above which employee wellness and happiness, which should be number one, productivity is only going to benefit.
Yeah. And, you know, it really, on multiple different levels, it serves the employer to be able to offer this next level of support in like you said, in an area where you spend majority of your days and sometimes weekends. And it really, like I said, I feel like it's a missing piece. And like you said, hopefully the tides are turning. And I'm hoping that, in the future generations, we can see that a lot more businesses promoting that they have this support for women who are navigating infertility, fertility challenges and pregnancy loss, so that the women or men in that in those organizations have the support in all aspects of their life, because these these traumatic events affect so many aspects of our life, and work is one of them. And like you said, when we're given that safe space to really heal and have the tools at the workplace, you're you're going to be able to still show up and perform at your job. Like that, it's going to happen, as opposed to not being able to talk to anyone, having to suppress all of your emotions, feeling like the work environment just becomes toxic, and then potentially either leaving, or the person stays there but ends up more miserable as well, and just adding on to that.
Absolutely. It's well, I mean, it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? I mean, a happy employee is going to give 110% to their workplace, and that's only going to increase productivity, increase it's so many benefits for the business as well. So, become a employer of choice, a happy place to work. People notice. People and they wanna work there. So, it's a win-win for everyone, which I think really moving forward is so important as well.
Mm, I love it. Love everything. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share before we wrap up?
Not really. I think the main takeaways from today, getting back to our earlier discussion, is if you are struggling with fertility, it's time today to make the decision that you are going to change the trajectory of your story, change your life. You can and you will make a difference, and today is that day. And if you only do one step, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. And say it again and again and again and again until it starts to feel really comfortable and you start to believe it. I think for me, that would be the number one takeaway from this conversation.
Yeah. So, and they're very, very, very powerful takeaways. In the moment, just making the decision to do this for you, like make these changes for you. And the mindset shifts are so powerful. The self-love is so powerful. So just in this moment, make that decision for yourself, which path you're going to choose.
Absolutely.
Love it. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. I've loved our conversation, and I can't wait to do it again some other day.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, just want to share with the listeners where they can find you if they want to reach out and connect and see what you do.
My name is Louise Siwicki, and I think I'm definitely the only one in Australia, if not the world. So I'm on all my socials as Louise Siwicki, and I'm www.louisesiwicki.com. You can head to my website. You can book a time to chat, book a coffee date if you want to learn more about me or what I do, or you can send me a DM on any of my socials. I'd love to connect.
Amazing. And I'll put all of that in the show notes too, so people can just be one click away.
Thank you so much.
That's all right. I just want to thank you again for sharing all of your wealth of knowledge with us today.
No worries at all. I've had a ball.
Thank you to all that have listened in. If this episode was valuable to you, I invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account send me a DM and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.